Washington, and we've got Cheryl from California joining us today. And we are doing the pelvic restoration and disease prevention Q&A. And today we thought we would just talk about the highway to health, because the highway to health starts with the pelvic area. So that's what we're going to talk about. And just know, if you have any questions, we are on Simran.
Telegram, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, X. And yeah, just insert your questions in the comments and it'll pop up and we'll get to them if you have anything.
Okay. So with the highway to health, you may not know, but what goes in here has a lot to do with what's happening down there. So you want to get on that perfect day protocol. You want to be able to detoxify the body. You want to be able to really connect with the foods and the things that you're putting in your body. You want to make sure that you've taken, you've looked at absolutely everything that you bring into the house, and you've taken away anything that was had chemicals. It doesn't happen overnight, that's for sure. I know when I first started on this, I started with the diet protocol and got that straight. And then I started looking at, oh my gosh, what am I putting on my skin? And then what am I washing my clothes with? And, what kind of detergents am I bringing in to clean my house? And am I using an air freshener that is natural, or is it chemical? So we know the majority, all the ones that are processed packaged, those are chemical. Yeah. And we want to be able to stay away from as much chemical as possible, because we are absorbing absolutely everything that comes into contact, everything that we breathe, everything that goes in our body that we swallow, everything that we put our body into, like our tubs or our swimming pools or our hot tubs, whatever. So we want to be able to bring in as much healthy things that will actually support our body rather than bring it down. Because when we're eating the typical North American diet, and we're including a lot of things that are processed packaged, so in other words, manipulated, it actually robs from our body. So it may fill the void so you don't feel hungry, but it is robbing everything it can so it can be processed through the body. So just know that when you sit down and have that frozen pizza, or that you open a can of soup, or you put ketchup on your hot dog, and your hot dog alone, and then the bun, it's all processed packaged. We've got to start looking at foods differently. We've got to start looking at what Mother Nature gave us and start using it in the packages it came in, because that's where we're going to get the high vibration. That's where we're going to get really satisfied. And I know when I started thinking about foods differently, so rather than looking at all the ingredients, because I was taught, look at the ingredients. If all the ingredients look good, you're probably good. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because there's a lot of chemicals that can be added to these things that they don't have to list. There's over 4,000 chemicals on the GRAS list, which is generally recognized as safe. Now, they've tested them individually, but they haven't tested them as a conglomerate. And I did some research while I was in Ixtapa. I wanted to see if I could find that GRAS list, and I couldn't find it. But what I did find was about another 300 things that they had added to it. And one of the things which disturbed me was Candida. They have figured out a way to chemically manufacture Candida. I have no idea. But, and that is on the GRAS list. It's something that they can put in anything processed packaged. And apparently it's an emulsifier. But I don't know about you. I don't want to be having that.
Just imagine what it's doing inside of your body.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't trust what is going on anymore. So I trust what Mother Nature gives me, and I'm going to source out the best that I can. If I can't get organic, then I'm going to make sure that I am soaking them in baking soda, in structured water with baking soda and maybe even a little bit of vinegar. You know, let them soak for a bit and then let them dry, and then I'll feel better about it. But just know that, you know, your best bet is obviously locally grown is always better
Mhm.
because those farmers just picked it yesterday. You know, it's not like something that's coming up to Canada from Mexico, which was picked a week ago or maybe longer, and then it goes through a quick uh, a quick thing to ripen
Right.
it. And when fruits and vegetables actually ripen on the vine or in the ground or wherever they are, one of the last things they do is produce enzymes, the enzymes for us to be able to break them down. So if they're not fully ripened and then they go through this fast ripening process, they don't have the enzymes for our bodies to be able to break them down. So, you know, we've got to do the best that we can with what we've got. So source out organic if you can. If you can't, go to the markets, talk to the farmers. How are they growing? Maybe they're growing organically, they're just not certified organic. Maybe they're growing biodynamically, which means they're actually nurturing the soil. And now the soil has more minerals in it, which is lacking everywhere. I could go on. Does anyone else want to jump in right now?
Um, I will say that just from like when I got into all of this, just from the black diamond crystals and becoming aware of how much your diet affects you, my periods drastically changed. Like they used to go from 7 days, heavy, heavy flow, bad cramping, um, to literally like three days of a moderate flow. And like there's no cramping. I forget I'm on my period sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably go deal with that. But that's how easy it is. And I didn't know that this was a possibility for women who get periods still. Like my friends go with my friends have a lot of like bad cramps. They have like migraines. They need their heat pad. They're like in bed for however many days and feel like they can't work. They feel really sick. But then again, they're binging on the it's the period pass. Oh, I get to have junk food. I'm on my period. I'm craving
Yep.
it. It's fine. And I used to be like that honestly. And since I've become more aware and I had that awareness brought to me, I it is literally so easy. And the diet was the main thing. Like I started to really and I read the ingredients on everything. I went through our cupboards last year at some point when I was in between travel, and I'm like, nope, this has this, this has this. I was like, no, we gotta get rid of it. And now, and I've thought in doing so, like, because my mom's on this journey as well. My dad is trying to, but he doesn't always pay attention. So when I start doing that, I'm like, he knows he's gonna get tossed if he brings it, and it has, because a little bit, yeah, sure, there's canola oil in this box. Oh, it's like a little bit, but it all adds up. So that was the point I needed to bring to him. And now we are so much more healthier and a lot more conscious when we go grocery shopping of what we're bringing in and making sure we clean our fruits and vegetables in the structured water with baking soda and vinegar to get all of that off. And the water comes out pretty gross after a bit. If anyone actually tries it, it's, yeah. So imagine, and people just think they're city water. Oh, I washed it under the thing. You're actually putting more chemicals in that, and even after I soak it in the structured water and stuff, I'll rinse it with structured water. I won't rinse it under a tap because some people forget. And I did that one time. My mom's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, that makes sense." So it's just, it's again just the awareness. The awareness is so huge.
Yeah, and I can add to that. Um, I had 7 to 10 day periods when I was still having a period. I had no cramping, but I didn't need to be bleeding that heavy either. And I had very little knowledge back then. I thought I was so good with nutrition that I was going organic and doing all the things right. But I have what's called that 80-20 rule. If I'm doing 80% really great, then it's really not going to hurt me so bad to do 20% not so great. So if I cheat once in a while, then that's okay. And then you get to see that it becomes cumulative, and that the inflammation starts small. And then after a while, it gets more and more. And then you start finding symptoms in all places of your body, not just in our pelvic girdles. And now that summer's coming, everybody's got farmers markets, and there's farmers markets almost on every corner, and they almost without doubt are at least bringing completely ripened fruit and vegetables to the area. When people ask me, why do you have to do organic? And I said, even if the very best farmer out there is using as much as he can to be organic, he's still being bombarded by 5G, which is now going to turn into 10G. And most people don't realize that 5G literally strips the soil of the minerals and things that they need for the plants to be 100% vibrant in and of itself, so that as we consume it ourselves, we're consuming some of the same thing. So being so mindful of what we put in our bodies. And I tell people, it's a habit. All habits start, and you didn't just get them. You had to earn that habit. So now you can de-habit yourself. Do one thing. Take one thing out that doesn't no longer serve you, and put one great thing back in. Get Black Diamond. Start taking that, and take out any kind of soda pops or anything like that you're doing. And just watch yourself as you add these habits, good habits. And after a while, you won't remember that you did it any other way. And it won't be a reward to have a glass of wine, and it won't be a reward to eat chocolate or whatever it is. Mostly refined sugar, a little dark chocolate once in a while. Anyway, yes.
Yeah. So we do want to be very mindful of what's going in the body, on the body. We're breathing, everything. These bodies will perform miracles by the minute when we give them what it needs. The problem is we're not. We're not. 75 years ago, we could eat carrots and it actually supported us. It actually had the minerals in it. Nowadays, they don't. The energy level, or the Brix level, of our fruits and vegetables have plummeted, even the organic ones. I remember taking a class about maybe 10 years ago, and it was a farmer who was teaching, and he had this thing to measure the Brix level. And all he did is he took like a carrot, he cracked it, and he put a little bit of the carrot juice on this thing, and it said what the Brix level was, so the energy level. And he tested about 6 different kinds of carrots, and even the organic ones that were picked yesterday from the farmer in the local area didn't have the Brix level as carrots did 50 years ago. So it doesn't matter how good they are now, we're not getting it. We are not. And I remember I went back to school and took holistic nutrition because I thought there's got to be a way. I don't want to take pills for the rest of my life. And it's not like supplements I'm talking about. I didn't want to do that. I thought there's got to be a way I can do this by eating. Well, no, you can't. You cannot eat that much. So get over it. We have to be able to support our body. And nutraceuticals are different than supplements. They are high vibrational. They are natural. They bring the body up. There is no additives, no fillers, no chemicals. They are life supporting. And that's what we need nowadays. So in our protocol, we talk about the diet, the nutraceuticals, the exercise, and the Braveheart emotional work. Most people, when you go and see them, they might tell you about diet. They might bring in some exercise. Not very many are talking about nutraceuticals. A few of them are, but nobody is talking about the most powerful thing that we have, and that is our Braveheart emotional work. If all you did was get into the library and started working on the 12 loving steps, so the Braveheart 12 loving steps, you would come to understand that Our body is more than just what we're putting in this way. It's also what's going in this way and what is staying in there that no longer serves us and actually brings our vibration down. You know, we are these electromagnetic beings. And the more times we can raise our vibration, the higher the body goes, the easier the body is at detoxifying and renewing. You know, the more roadblocks we can get rid of with the non-surgical and opening up the areas with the cell sonic, you know, the more that we can do this and actually love our bodies back to health. That's what we need to do is take and like Cheryl said, it I certainly would not tell everybody to do this 100%, this 100%, this 100%, and this 100%. You're going to start where you are. You're going to honor you where you are right now, and know that this is divine timing, and your body knows what thing needs to be worked on when and what thing is more important. And sometimes the thing that you think is more important is not the thing that needs to be done first. And I get that a lot from the people that I consult and said, hey, you know, I'm feeling really good here, here, and here, but this was the reason I came. And I said, well, your body's not there yet. You know, it will, but you're not there yet. What else can you do? And most of the time, they're not doing the Braveheart emotional work. And the emotional work trumps everything, everything, everything.
It's really amazing, the emotional work, because in the courses I've done with Daryl, where I go and assist him in the whole life coach, in those 9 days, they're not even doing the non-surgical. They probably most of them hadn't even started the diet yet, and they have physical changes just from the emotional aspect of it. And people don't get it. You can eat as healthy as you want, you can exercise as much as you want, but if there's that like stubborn weight that you can't seem to get rid of, you need to start looking at the emotional side, because there's something you're not letting go that's causing you to hold on to that little bit of protection.
Yeah.
And we're not really taught in our world to spend time in self-love and what I call self-autolysis, where you really go inside. And I tell people the easiest place to see how you're loving yourself is how you're eating. It's a very physical way of looking to see if you're saying, oh no, I feel great about myself, I love myself, while you're eating Lay's potato chips, you know. You go, okay, so I hear you're giving yourself lip service, but what is that gap between you really feeling like I love myself and how you're serving yourself? So that's why the emotional work for me is so important, because we do not know what we don't know. And a lot of our stuff stays very unconscious because that's what we were taught. Just shove it down. Don't worry about it. Plow through. And then you get on that same hamster wheel that everybody else is on. And because everybody's doing the same thing as you, you're going, well, I must be doing great, even though I feel like crap. So it is really, truly a relearning and understanding how, and like Lorraine said, self-love is literally the basis, the foundation of every other work that we do. So it's very exciting.
And it's something that you can do. I mean, everybody has the opportunity to do it. If you do nothing but, you know, the Lionheart breathing in the morning and at night, your breath is the first thing that's either going to put you into that sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight, or bring you back into that parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the only place the body heals. So when you're constantly on that hamster wheel, you're not getting there. You're not getting there. You need to slow down. You know, when you're in the sympathetic nervous system, you get a surge of glucose in your blood so that you've got the energy to run or fight. But if we're just doing life, we've got this extra surge of glucose in our body. Well, guess what? You'll probably get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. When you're in your fight or flight, all of the smooth muscle in your body is constricted. So smooth muscle in my body is my veins and arteries. So if I have high blood pressure, it's because it's constricted, right? You're trying to push all that blood through something that's tinier than what it should be because you're so uptight. So you want to be able to breathe And when you slow down your breath, when you make sure that the exhale is 1 second longer, your exhale connects us more to the parasympathetic nervous system, our calm, rest, and repair. So yes, every breath you take, if you can just concentrate on that exhale, making it 1 second longer, you're going to turn around your health. Maybe not totally, but you're going to feel the difference because you're bringing your body into that parasympathetic nervous system and you're allowing it to do what it needs to do. And, we began this talking about food, and one of the things we recommend is intermittent fasting. And the reason we recommend intermittent fasting is because when you're eating 3 meals a day and a couple of snacks, even if they're healthy, what most people call healthy, you're still using about 70% of your body's energy on digesting. That only leaves 30% for, getting rid of toxin, rejuvenating, restoring. Then that's not enough energy. So doing that intermittent fasting is another way to help your body out. And when you're not eating properly and you're eating in a hurry and you're not chewing right, you're not food combining right, maybe you're having too many proteins at one meal, it slows down digestion. And when the digestion slows down, it churns and churns and churns in that stomach and it starts to putrefy. And when that happens, I don't care how good that meal was for you, how healthy that meal was. If you did one of those things not correct, you now are giving all of that to the bad bacteria, the fungus, and the parasites because it's no longer serving you. So, we've got to learn how to slow down. We've got to learn how to honor our bodies and really respect these beautiful bodies that we've been gifted for this life. And it really comes down to, again, that mirror work. When I first met Daryl and I did the first class, there was about 8 of us in the Whole Life Coach. We all had to go up to the mirror. And my heart was pounding just knowing that I had to do that. And when it was my turn to go up there and say the Braveheart oath in front of the mirror, I couldn't even look at myself, let alone get a word out. Because I knew I wasn't. And I couldn't say it. So everything counts. Everything counts. And everything affects that large intestine. Because when we're not honoring our bodies and there's more fungus being produced, the fungus are the guys who drill the holes in the large intestine. And then anything transitioning through the large intestine has the opportunity to fall in that pelvic bowl. And there starts the first domino falling, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Even we had some people here for a blood analysis test, and they allowed my mom and I to sit in and learn and listen and see the different results for people. One of them had this green haze over there in the background, and it's supposed to be black. And we found out that's a yeast overgrowth, too much sugar. So they're eating too many starches, like potatoes, pastas, whether or not be actual sugar, and it could be natural sugars, but the potato and pastas alone can spike anything. So learning that was pretty interesting for me. And then seeing the results of them changing their diet, because now they've visually seen what's happening inside. They can do better now that you may know, but some people it's different. When they see it, they're like, okay, no, I need to make this change. No, that looks bad. And I may not feel like it's doing anything inside, but then when you see it, then you start to notice different things on your body, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, I did notice, oh, that's a little smellier than normal, or whatever, your lymph, your armpits or something, it will cause that. So this was 3 weeks ago or so they did this. They've been communicating with us and saying, oh, I've done this and this, and I've changed this. I've really increased my water, because I know water is important, but they fell off a little bit and they weren't drinking the right amount. of the right water. So now that's back up. They've really cut out the carbs and everything. And even if it's temporarily or just being more mindful of it, they see a huge difference. And they're doing the ultimate coffee enemas and the vaginal infusions to help clean up everything that, like all the yeast and the overgrowth. So doing the ultimate coffee enemas and the vaginal infusions are amazing, because when you're consistent with it, especially when you see and you learn you have an issue and you start doing it consistently, you'll come back so much quicker. So
I agree. I listened to all this information and how truly amazing and beautiful it really is. And it's interesting because when I started doing this Perfect Day protocol, I decided that I'm going to approach changing my life the same way and with the same excitement as if I got a trip to Italy. I wanted to retrain my thinking, because when you tell somebody, oh, you have to change, they go, oh, geez, do I really have to change? Do I have to give up cheese? I mean, I don't know if I have to give up cheese. I can do almost anything else, because we've been taught that it's a job and it's a chore, and it isn't about how exciting it is to self-love and be pain-free. I mean, I wake up every morning and put my feet on the ground. I'm so excited about the day, and there's zero pain in my body, and I'm just filled with gratitude for another day to breathe and live and love and continue to spread this word, because it's that important. So when you approach something with that kind of an attitude, like, see, loving yourself is the best vacation you've ever had in your life, because it is a vacation. It's a vacation from all the negativity, all the programming that you've gotten to put yourself last or do any of those things. And it isn't a quick fix. It isn't a diet where you're going to die of anxiety and stress and everything else. This is a lifestyle change. This is you loving yourself right through to every single cell in your body, so that vibrancy continues to grow, and then the rest of your life just blossoms. I mean, truly, I'm so happy.
Exactly.
there is a question. Annette is asking, what's consistently for infusions, enemas, every day, every other day, every 4 days? I would say if you have an issue, a specific issue, enemas, I would do like start with 7 days straight and then take a week off. You don't want to do enemas every single day, because you don't want your bowels to forget how to function on their own. And infusions you can do every day. It's just sending nourishment to the area. So if you have an issue, you can do them 2-3 times a day if need be. Otherwise, at once a day, every day is perfectly fine to just keep the maintenance and keep everything healthy and clean and flowing nicely.
Yeah. And we've got another question from Cindy. It's, my grandmother and aunt both lived to over 100 and never did any diets or exercise. All they just loved and took care of people. And you know what? First of all, your grandmother and your aunt, if they lived to over 100, the ground was different, the air was different, the water was different. We are at a tipping point now. If we don't take care of ourselves, we're we're just on our way out. And statistics are now saying that we will outlive our children. And what kind of legacy do you want to leave your kids? Do you want to leave your kids a legacy of health or a legacy of disease?
Dis-ease, yes.
Dis-ease, yeah. And that is on a spiritual, emotional, and physical level. We've got to be able to teach our kids. My granddaughter here is 2 years old. And when I started living here, I love goji berries. And I brought them in, and my daughter loves goji berries, and my granddaughter loves goji berries. It's just they see it, they do it. And now she asks for them. If she wants a snack, it's goji berries. Why not? She loves avocados. It is because they're in the house. they're here, they're available. You know, she'll have apples, oranges, celery, carrots. These are things that she loves to eat, and she's only 2. You know, you got to lead by example. As far as your aunt and your grandma goes, like I said, everything was cleaner. They had a life that we don't. We just don't. The air is polluted, the water's polluted, the ground's polluted, our thinking is polluted, our belief system is destroyed. You know, we've got to start doing baby steps in the right direction. And if I'm 66, and you know, it's not something that I did overnight, but I did it. I changed, and it was baby steps in the right direction. And I remember Daryl calling me out and saying, "Hey, what's going on? You're not the way you were yesterday. What's going on? You need to put a mirror in front of your desk. You need to start saying that oath, looking in your eyes." And he was right. He was right. You know, you start to do things that are loving for yourself, and it shows. It shows. People see it. You know, there's a glow that wasn't there before. Wouldn't you say?
Yes. And
Most
and I can add to that about your grandma. She wasn't bombarded by the social media that we are bombarded with today. And I mean, I see people all the time. If you're diligent enough, you can get on Google and you can find any evidence at all for whatever habit you want to keep doing. But the proof is in the pudding. How does your body feel? How do you walk? How are you getting around? How's your energy? How is your reactivity? Are you able to stay calm? Are you in a calm place where no matter what happens to you, you can be reasonable? There's all kinds of telltale signs that you're really not as healthy and happy as you would like to be. Someone had a question about, do you recommend not eating any dairy at all? Yes. I recommend not eating any dairy at all. As we've been taught, and what I didn't realize until I took the course, is that the molecule from a cow that is too big for our bodies to digest in any form. I don't care if you ferment it, I don't care what you do with it, it's still not a digestible thing, which means that when it goes into our body and your body's trying to do something with it, it's creating inflammation, which then can create the mucus. I mean, there are a lot of children who are born with milk allergies. That should tell you something. It really isn't normal for us to drink another animal's milk. But we got started on that process. So was it challenging for me to get rid of dairy? It was the hardest thing on my plate to get rid of, because it was in practically every meal we ate. And all the advertisement for yogurt. Oh, make sure you get your yogurt when you're pregnant. Make sure you're get all that calcium while you're nursing. And it became such a habit. And because it's not really giving you any nutritional value, you crave it more and more and more, hoping to get something out of it. Somebody should have told me that. But no dairy for me anymore, and I don't miss it. Once you get past that addiction, you really, really don't miss the dairy, and you feel so great.
Yeah, I'd have to second that emotion. I took dairy out, and it was the last thing that I took out. It was. I mean, we grew up on a whole bunch of different cheeses in the house all the time, and I don't know. I wasn't a big milk drinker, but I sure liked the cheese. But that was the last thing that I took out. And now, if I happened, you know, every once in a while, I gotta experiment. I gotta say, I gotta experiment, and I'll have a piece of cheese, and I'll just a little piece, and it's like, I can't even swallow this anymore. It's got such a awful taste. I just can't even swallow it anymore. You know, so that kind of goes to show us that we get so programmed at a very young age, and everybody's saying, oh, this is good, and everybody's loving it, and you know, you melt it and it smells good, and I don't know. there's just so much.
Right.
You know.
Double whammy is you melted on bread, and now you've got all the gluten with the sweets, you know.
I personally used to like live off of grilled cheese sandwiches. Well, grilled cheese and bacon sandwiches. And I learned about all this and I'm like, oh my God, like the pork, I was like, I can't eat a pig again. Like knowing what I know, I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Cheese also, I grew up on cheese, but I didn't find it as hard to give up. It was one of my first things, but it's still like people, like if we go out and, or if we're at, like last night I was just with my brother and some friends and we stopped at a A&W drive-through because if I get anything, if I'm out, A&W, because I know it's better than the other ones. I don't condone it, but it was late and we were coming back from Toronto, so we stopped and like, oh, do you want cheese? And I was like, no. And then he starts making fun of me. I was like, I don't care. You can make fun of me. I'm not gonna willingly put cheese on it. I don't need it. It's not adding any nutritional value to whatever.
And
I'm
then
like,
and then also it would be a double protein.
yeah, no, exactly.
So now you wrecked whatever else protein you put in there, the free range, whatever, because at A&W usually it is free range. At least they're doing that part right.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, it's not a perfect meal. I don't do it all the time. It's just because of the circumstance. But yeah, you still make the better choices other than Wendy's. They want Wendy's. I'm like, I'm not eating Wendy's. No
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
But
You got to look at things good, better, best, right?
Yeah.
You want to shoot for the best, but that's not always something that you can get. So do something that's at least better.
Yeah.
And love yourself enough to take care of that. Yeah.
And also just coming back to the water thing, our bodies are mostly water. And when you look into the studies of how energy affects water, and you jokingly say, oh, stupid me, or just literally unconscious things like that, that's affecting you negatively. And if you do your research into it, I am a huge affirmation person. I love my affirmations and just the positivity and like trying to manifest my best life while doing what I can right now to be conscious of my diet, who I'm surrounding myself with, and what I'm doing, if I'm exercising, like how I'm taking care of me. My affirmations are one of like, you don't have to look in the mirror when you're saying those. You could be driving, I'm in bed, I'm sleeping, my eyes are closed, I'm in front of the vitamin D light, I'm saying my affirmations. And I'm seeing and I did fall off a bit of not saying them as much as I used to, and now I'm doing it again and I can feel the difference. You feel happy, you start smiling when you're saying it because you're like, yeah, I'm going to have the best day ever, or something amazing is going to happen today. Like just and believe it, and it causes you to be so happy that you eventually start to believe it, and then life is just you're smiling. And Daryl said make your life a walking meditation, and that's my goal right now.
Yeah.
So
And
this is one step.
we get what we ask for. We get what we ask for. So, watch our words are so important. We really are casting spells. And that's where spelling came up from, was we were casting spells, because everything is a vibration. Our thoughts are a vibration. Our words are more powerful vibration. So I listened to a podcast and he was talking about different words, and like Monday morning. And of course, mourning means I'm mourning something. So I'm mourning a death, right? It's Monday morning and I'm starting my week. And it's just we have been so ruled, schooled, and fooled. We really have. When we start looking at the words that we are saying and the vibration that it has, when we have more negative thoughts about ourselves, about what we did, what we might do, who we are, blah blah blah, than anything else. And that's why I wear this love band, right? Because this is going to snap me back to the now. Right now is the only place for change. I can't change what happened before. I cannot change what's going to happen Well, I have very little I mean, you know what I mean. When I'm in the now, I can
You control
definitely
the
change.
future. Yeah.
In the future, we don't know it. We don't know what that is. So coming back to right now, it's the only place we should be. And most of us are either there or there. We're not here. We're not present. You can drive all the way to work and think, oh my gosh, I don't remember passing that,
Yeah.
you know, and I know I did, but I don't remember it because I wasn't in the now,
You
you
were on
know,
autopilot. Yeah.
on autopilot. Thank God that autopilot turns on. And that's why there's so many accidents, right?
You know what I tell when I'm working with people, because you're right, your inner critic and the negative thinking is so unconscious, but it's always there. It's always on because we've been letting it run the program for us for a very, very long time. And so I tell people, take 1 hour a day. And this is where you're going to start. So every time you hear a negative thought, and please understand, when you judge somebody else or you are looking at someone else and having a negative thought about them, you're still only talking to yourself. It is just they're representing some part of yourself that is not okay. And you haven't loved that part of yourself. I love the poet Rumi because he said, be a battered helmet looking for a sword. And it's like you learn more about when you feel like what I call zinged than you do about when you really love the way you look today. Because it's not until you get into that reflection. So when I tell people you hear a negative thought, I'll go cancel clear or thanks, but that's a lie. And I replace it with something positive. And I make sure that I mean it. And it's much easier for me to see when I have an instant judgment for somebody else. And I'll go, oh, ooh, ow. And I take a minute and I go, what was that? Right. And then I look and see what part of myself that I'm not loving, that I'm not accepting. Even if I don't perform that way or act that way, it's still taking away from unconditional love if I'm still creating any kind of separation with myself in another reflection. So
Yeah.
very, very powerful.
Yeah. I was driving down the Stony, which is the ring road here in Calgary, and I wanted to get into the lower lane. Had my signal on, and I checked. I didn't see anyone coming, and I pulled in. And then I looked in my rearview mirror, and there was somebody right there. And I thought, holy crap! Sorry, I did that. Somehow they must have been in my blind spot, and I didn't turn enough to see anything of them, you know. So sometimes that's part of our problem is, you know, we unknowingly do things because of maybe just a habit. You know, I didn't see them coming behind me. I didn't see when I looked, but obviously I didn't look good enough, you know. And that's our biggest problem. We're not being a detective enough, you know. Really watch yourself and learn what you're doing. Write down from how you're breathing, like I mentioned earlier. You know, we need to be able to, the quickest way to put our bodies back into that parasympathetic nervous system is to slow our breathing down. And it doesn't mean that you have to go to that 6 seconds in, 7 seconds out. That's kind of when you're not doing anything. But if I'm hoofing it down the street, I can still pay attention to how I'm breathing. Am I nose breathing? Where's my tongue? Is it up on the roof of the mouth? Is it pushing on that little bump of gum tissue just behind the two front teeth? That's a pressure point that brings the body back into the parasympathetic nervous system. Am I making the exhale 1 second longer? You know, I tell people we carry these phones around with us all day, all night. Well, maybe not all night, but all day. And we look at them often. When we see it's close to the hour or the half hour, just ask yourself, how am I breathing? Can I slow it down? Where's my tongue? You know, am I making the exhale 1 second longer? That's all we need to do. That's all we need to do is to bring the body back to that parasympathetic nervous system. You'll live longer. There's a Chinese thing that says, when we were born, we were given the amount of breaths we were going to take in this life. So if we could slow them down, we're going to live longer.
You know, Lorraine, I actually used my phone when I first started this, and everybody's got the timer on there. So I would set the timer for 30 minutes. And you wouldn't believe how fast 30 minutes would go by. And I realized I'd been shallow breathing or working in front of my computer or doing something. So I would stop and take 6 conscious breaths, like you said. And then I would get back to being busy. It would be surprising how 30 minutes would go by and I still hadn't, So over time, I didn't need to do that anymore. Now when I think about it, I go, I don't shallow breathe. I'm like, it's a habit now to breathe properly. And Lorraine, you were a big part of that when I took the pelvic restoration course, and really brought my attention to what it means and the link to that kind of breathing and the parasympathetic and what it meant and how important it was. It totally changed my view of breathing completely.
Yeah.
Not just, when you're meditating or when you're doing a special yoga or something, but every single minute of every day, and just, being that present. Because when you're breathing that like that, you're present. You almost can't get lost in your thoughts. You're not projecting. You're not thinking of something that hasn't happened. You're not practicing what you're going to say. When we start spinning out like that, when we're no longer in the present moment, that's when our breathing becomes, stressed out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I don't see any real questions, a lot of comments. We've got a few more minutes. If anyone has any comments, any questions, any last things they want to pop up or anything they want us to discuss, and you could even post in here what you'd like us to talk about next time. We're always trying to bring as much information as we can to the world and plant these seeds and throw them all over the place like we did today. But we really are passionate about what we're doing here. It is coming from the heart. We want to be able to see mankind flourish and not be manipulated the way we are right now. And it's doable. But it is baby steps in the right direction. And you have to honor your body where you're at. You've got to start with what you've got and what you can do. Because some people, maybe they've got injuries to their knees or their ankles or whatever, and they can't do the squat. Or start doing whatever you can. Sit on a chair and do the exercises. Do something. Our body is an electromagnetic being. When we move, we create electricity. We create that spark. So we want to be. I want to be. I used to say 90. Now I want to say I'm going to be 100, cutting my grass if that's what I want to do. I'm going to be upright and moving, and then one day I'll just fall asleep and then not wake up, and it'll be a beautiful life. The more that we can put that intention out that today is going to be the best day ever, the more we get it. Any last?
Definitely. I will say just that 1%, you have to hold that discipline for yourself, that you're doing whatever you do should always be for you and with love and in your best interest. Never to harm someone else or in spite of anyone else. This life is about you. You are the main character. So creating that discipline for yourself because it's a lot. It's a full-time job to take care of yourself pretty much. It's like your belly button, your clapping, your squats, your nutraceuticals, and then you have your life on top of that where you either have to go to work or go work at, carving out that time. It's very important. That's something I've personally been practicing lately, is having that discipline for myself that every day, minimum 30 minutes, if not it's been 40, minimum 40 minutes. I'm going to work out every day, whether I get to the gym or I can't get there and I do it at home. I'm journaling. I've started a new book, and it's all just I'm just very happy right now. And it's because I've created that discipline for myself to do the things that will keep me happy and healthy and strong mentally, physically. And I've had more time for the infusions. So I'm very grateful for that.
And you know, the thing is, when we're self-loving, that's when we're authentically loving other people, right? It makes such a difference. I have more energy and I'm more available and I love more completely than I've ever in my life, because we haven't been taught to take time for ourselves. Literally, I think I said this before, we have not. In fact, you're selfish to take that time out. You're supposed to be pounding the pavement. And even if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're watching the children, you're not allowed to take care of yourself in between. You're lucky if you get a nap in. You know, it's because there's just so many things and expectations of us, and nobody said, hey, that doesn't work for me. And so once we become more loving human beings, the people in your life will stop complaining because you're happy.
Yeah.
And it's infectious. That kind of love is incredibly infectious. So,
And you become magnetic. People are drawn to you and they're like, what do you have? What are you doing? I want that. But there was a saying that I heard the other day where it's be selfish enough to become selfless.
yes.
Because you have to start out being selfish and be like, no, I'm good. I don't like if you know somebody is usually generally negative and you're around them and you were hanging out a lot and they ask hang out, you'd be like, no, I'm okay. And just they're gonna say, oh, she's being selfish right now, but you have to in the start to protect your energy until you're able to be around and in certain environments and still keep that high vibration.
Yeah.
Well, and we all suffer from FOMO.
Yeah.
I want to take care of myself, but I have the fear of missing out on something else, right? So it's true. It's seeing loving yourself and taking time for yourself is as much fun as any exciting thing that you can do in your life.
And I'm gonna just end this because we've got like 3 minutes. So I just want to bring attention to everybody, to the women out there who are having any struggles in the pelvic area. And even if you're not having any struggles in the pelvic area and you want to learn how to really take care of the body and heighten your ability to heal, then I so encourage you to come and take the Pelvic Restoration and Disease Prevention Masterclass. It's a 3-day class that is going to change the way you think, the way you feel about yourself and your health. You know, we get the ladies to take a selfie, a nice face shot at the beginning and then at the end, and then compare them. And it's always brighter. And it's only been 3 days. You know, the next one is in Stuart, Florida. That's the last one for in North America. And that is the end of June. And after that, we're in Coffs Harbor in August, the end of August, beginning of September. And then after that, it's Ixtapa, Mexico, the end of October, beginning of November. And to find out more about those, you go to bhnuniversity.com. Find out, you know, the exact dates and times and any other information that you need. Get yourself signed up and know that we have dropped our prices by about 30 to 40%. It's down to $1,197. And if you're in Australia, you pay Australia dollars. If you're Canadian, you pay Canadian dollars. And, you know, that's one heck of a deal. And that's for the first 12 signups. And after that, it goes up a little bit more, but not a whole lot. So get yourself signed up. Come and learn how to honor these beautiful bodies and respect them and bring them back to health. Because there is nothing your body can't heal. We get a cut and we don't question the fact that it's going to heal. Everything else we do. And my question to you is why? If I can heal from a cut, my body knows how to heal from everything. And I've seen it, I've witnessed it, I've had it happen. And I guess that's about all I wanted to say. So
Thank you, Lorraine.
if you got your love band, we've
I'm
got
elastic.
3, 2, 1, Braveheart. We've got this.
We've
And
got
just know
this.
we love you.
And we see you. And have the best day, morning, evening ever.
Give yourself a kiss. Mwah.
Thanks for showing up.